On the show today, you are in for such a treat. I am interviewing John Lee Dumas, or JLD, from Entrepreneurs on Fire. John has interviewed over 3,000 of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, people like Tony Robbins, Amy Porterfield, Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's going to reveal the most surprising principle he uncovered in the process of interviewing all those people. He actually talks about how to increase your profit by over 40% in one day. And believe me, it's not what you think. And he talks about why he publicly reported his income every month for the last 90 months. You can go on his website right now and see exactly how much he makes, exactly what his costs are, what his profit is. It's crazy. And he talks about what his numbers are and also why he actually does that. Enjoy the show. You are going to love it. John, you have interviewed 3,000 of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. You're now launching your book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success. It is out on the 23rd of March. There it is in the video if you guys are watching. 23rd of March, 2021. If you're listening before that date, you can pre-order. If you're listening after, then get it in your hands right now. It reveals 17 steps that you identified after interviewing all of these people. So look, I know we can't do all of them in this interview, but can you give me the most surprising principle you've learned?
That's a good question. But I do want to back up before I get to that, because I have a fantastic answer to your specific question and it hasn't been asked before. So it'll be a cool one. But listen, this book, it is the culmination of those 3,000 episodes that you mentioned. It was me interviewing 3,000 of the world's most successful entrepreneurs over the past decade and learning from every single one of them, brother. Like I learned from every single person that I interviewed. And I applied it to my business, which has been a multi-million-dollar a year business for 8 years in a row. And I just wanted to give the gift that I got from these 3,000 guests to my listeners, to Fire Nation, who frankly come to me all the time with essentially the same 10 questions. They're slightly varied, but they're essentially the same 10 questions. And I can't answer them individually. But what I can do now is I can hand them this book and I can say, the answer to your question is in here, because I've interviewed those 3,000 plus successful entrepreneurs. I've learned from them. I've boiled down the 17 foundational core elements and principles that we all share. And by we, I mean successful entrepreneurs. We all have gone through these foundational core principles and have them in our business and life. And I put those foundational principles in a 17-step roadmap.
Yes.
And it's chronological, brother. It is step 1 to step 17. So you start at the beginning, no matter where you are, and you go all the way to the end, and you will have found your version of uncommon success. Because this is a 17-step roadmap to financial freedom and fulfillment. That is the book, the gift that I'm giving to the world here. And to your question specifically, something that will surprise people is so many successful entrepreneurs, and I mean successful entrepreneurs, successful businesses, by the way, as well. At the end of the day, at the end of the year, when it comes time to tally up all the numbers, they're not making any money, or they're making very, very little money. And if you could actually even flash for them real quick what their quote unquote hourly rate would be if they were, salaried employees, it would break their heart because they work so hard. They provide so much value. A lot of them make so much money. They make and generate a ton of revenue. But after everything, brother, the salaries and the infrastructures and the expenses and the ads and the taxes, there's literally little to nothing left over. And I lived this world, by the way, for 4 years. The first 4 years of my business, 2 of which I was making millions of dollars. So I paid millions of dollars in taxes as well. My bank account was not looking like I was making multiple millions of dollars a year. It was like, okay, I'm not broke, but I'm definitely not rich, but I'm making rich people money. Where is it all? And I looked around, man, and that was just across the board. All of my friends, all of my peers were all in the same boat. And it's just like, man. So I took some pretty drastic action myself. And I moved to Puerto Rico and I went from paying 51% tax to 4% tax overnight. That was huge. And I did a bunch of other things in my business and I learned a lot about running a lean, mean business. And we've actually been publishing our monthly income reports for 90 months in a row. And we bring our accountant on for a tax tip. We bring our lawyer on for a legal tip. I mean, we really, really go deep with the value on these things. And my net profit percentage to overall revenue is typically over 80% every month. Now that's unheard of. I mean, if you can be over 30%, 40%, you're doing really well. We've just fine-tuned it for a decade to get to where we are now. And I have a tiny team. There's only three virtual assistants on my team. So we have a specific lean mentality. I'm not saying this is what your goal should be, but what your goal should be is chapter 17, step 17, the final step, which is the most surprising step that you asked about. Keep the money you make. It's all about keeping the money you make in this world. Because man, I'll tell you, at the end of the day, if you're not keeping the money you make, like you're not going to be able to support the causes you love. You're not going to be able to, reinvest in your business in the way that you might want to. You're not going to be able to walk away when you want to or need to. You're not going to be able to, do what needs to happen in this world to live the life that you want to live. And that's why this tagline to the book is a 17-step roadmap to financial freedom and fulfillment. It doesn't say to millions in fulfillment. It's the financial freedom, because financial freedom is so much more important than a million or 10 million or a billion. It's financial freedom. There are some people that are making $50 million a year with their business and they're not financially free. Like they're not. Like they might be losing money in their business and life. It's just a reality for a lot of businesses. So I teach you how to keep the money you make. And it would surprise so many people how few people do that.
Yeah, in a world where startups...
Well, real quick. Sorry I didn't interrupt you, but I get the question all the time. John, like, why don't more people do income reports like you? And I'm like, because most people don't have income to report. That's the truth.
I love your income reports. And what I think, I've always thought the net income thing is crazy, but what's even crazier to me is that you always report your advertising income. And every time I've seen it, it's been zero.
We've had some doozies. There was a month like about a year ago when I was promoting Tony Robbins' course where we dropped like $150,000 in 1 month for advertising. So we pick and choose. Like I'm all about advertising when it's the right time. It's just my business isn't the right business for advertising. Some businesses are, like a ClickFunnels like type of business. Like when you can have a client that like their average, client is like worth, I don't know, $1,500 or something maybe more. I have no idea what it is. I know it's a high number. You can afford to advertise hundreds of dollars to get one client when that works. We just have a different business. And that's why I'm saying, like, don't look at my income reports and be like, I need to get to those numbers per se, like either revenue wise or like net profit percentage wise, because I'm running a different business. Like if you're running a SaaS business or a physical product business, it's all going to be relative and different. But I teach you the core principles in that chapter on how to keep the money you make.
You know what else I think is interesting, as an entrepreneur myself, I'm looking at like these insanely high net margins, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, usually in profit. And I'm thinking, well, what do you do with it?
It's a good question.
I run a software company. And so I'm like, let's reinvest, let's get developers, let's get designers. And we have a much bigger team at a relatively similar level of revenue to you. We have 30 people on the team. And so what do you do with the money? Yeah,
it's a good question. And listen, if I was running a team like you in a business like yours, I'd be doing the exact same thing because it's a different business. It's a different philosophy. Like mine's a pure like lifestyle, like play. And like yours is like, let's go big. Let's continue to grow and let's maybe get acquired or bought out or go public or do any number of cool things in the future. And that's all awesome too. But frankly, I've just always liked to see my bank account get bigger and bigger. I invest, I've invested in a lot of other companies. So I have some great venture capital type investments out there. I'm a big believer in gold and silver and stocks. I have real estate. I own my own $2 million home here outright. So I have a lot of money in the bank, like cash, which, frankly is, losing money every second because that's just what cash does, as inflation happens. But, it's there. And I have a lot of investments that are making a lot of money and potentially going to, lose a lot of money if other things happen. But, I just try to diversify my investments across a lot of different areas and just continue to grow that. So someday I can give it all away because my kids, if I have any, they're not getting any. None.
Oh, wow. How come?
The worst thing you can do is give your kids money. Literally the worst thing you can do, because guess what? You're taking away the number one gift any human being can have is the ability to look in the mirror and to say, I flipping did this. I succeeded on my own accord. I bootstrapped this biatch and I made it happen. And like, there's no better gift than that. And you robbing your kids of that, it's it should be criminal.
I love that. That's why I feel quite sorry for our royal family in the UK. You know, like, where can you go from there?
They never had a chance. They literally, they have no understanding of what money is, how to respect money. They don't get it. And listen, I feel bad for them. I really, really do, because it's just, it's sad for them not to be able to experience what, you know, myself and other successful bootstrapping entrepreneurs get to experience. And that, you know, to me, that's what human beings want. Like, go back 80,000 years. Like, that's what we did. We bootstrapped and we made a great life, and we're proud of it. Like, what do you have to be proud of if you're a royal? You have nothing to be proud of, because you were just born, and that's sad.
You know, one thing I admire about you, John, is you curate your conversations. When you're interviewing people, you guide that conversation in such a way with all these incredible entrepreneurs that it delivers so much value to the listener, and it's a rewarding conversation for the two of you. And I'm curious, after guiding these 3,000 conversations, what did you learn about how to do that effectively?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I actually went back randomly and listened to one of my older episodes, and I'm like, wow, I was terrible. Like, I just was not able to like facilitate a conversation. I just didn't know how to do it. And that's what I like to point people back to. They're like, oh, I don't want to launch my podcast or my whatever, fill in the blank, because I'm just not going to be good at it. I'm like, of course you're not going to be good at it. None of us were good at anything when we started, but we got through it and we improved a little tiny bit every single step of the way. That's literally all you can do. Just get a little bit better every step of the way. And again, I go back to those old episodes and I'm like, oh man, wow. But I slowly got better. And so now I'm at a place where I really can put myself in the place of not me, because, you know, I'm been rocking a multi-million-dollar business for 8 years. You know, I've interviewed 3,000 successful entrepreneurs. Like, I'm not the ideal listener of my podcast, but like the ideal listener of my podcast, I'm able to put myself in the position of that person and say, what would Jimmy want to be hearing right now? Who's my avatar? What would Jimmy be asking this person right now if he had the opportunity to ask him these questions? And I ask them those questions. So I'm able to come at these conversations from the like perspective of my perfect listener. And that's the key. And I think that very few podcast hosts and interviewers do that, you know, which is a shame, because they should always be thinking about their perfect listener first and foremost.
I love that. I see in your course you talk about that as well. You call it, is it your zone on fire? Is that what you call it?
Zone of fire. You got it.
Fire. Yeah, I love that. And how do you identify that zone of fire?
So it's a process. Chapter 1, step 1 of this book is called Identify Your Big Idea. It's not copy Dan's idea or see John's podcast and copy his success. No, then you'll be weak, pale imitations of us, and you'll lose and you'll fail. But if you sit down for maybe the first time in your life and identify your big idea, like truly your big idea, your individual big idea that's buried in all of you, but you may never uncover unless you intentionally go after it. And I teach you how to go after it and how to uncover that. That's your zone of fire. That's the ability to wake up every single day and uncover your zone of fire, live within your zone of fire, act upon your zone of fire. I mean, damn, my schedule today would literally kill most people. I mean, I have 14 back-to-back interviews just like this. And I thrive in every one of those interviews because it's my zone of fire. I love doing it. I love talking to cool, intelligent people like yourself. Like, I love having these conversations, and I could do it all day. This is what I love doing. It's my zone of fire. So I found it. You have a zone of fire as well, and it's buried there. And I'm saying, hey, chapter 1, step 1 is going to get you there. Identifying your big idea.
Love that. You guys, you heard it. Zone of fire. John, thank you so much. The book, you guys, is out on the 23rd of March. Make sure you get your hands on a copy. 3,000 of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, all of their wisdom condensed into something that you can hold in your hands. What a gift. Thank you, John. It's been awesome.
Well, listen, it's been awesome. And don't wait till March 23rd, because listen, I have 5 insane bonuses. I mean, 5 insane bonuses. Just one of them, brother. I'm shipping all 3 of my journals to your doorstep if you're in the US. Outside, I'm emailing you the beautiful digital packs. There's 4 other insane bonuses. So you can check out all the bonuses, my endorsements from Gary Vaynerchuk, Neil Patel, Eric Kamani, Dory Clark, Seth Godin, the first chapter of the book, all of that jazz. UncommonSuccessBook.com.
Awesome. John, thank you. That was so cool.